good, YouTube? tplocks here, bringing you guys another video. Yes, today I wanted to talk to you guys about 5 mistakes that I made with my dreadlocks along the way, you guys. So if you're interested in that video, stay tuned. Per usual, you guys, if you have not done so already, smash that subscribe button, you guys. Truly humbled and grateful, you guys, for all your support. If you have hit that subscribe button already, definitely make sure you hit that notification bell to stay notified on all the posts the moment I post. All right. Let's get into the video. So one of the dopest things about having locks in this journey is that I've been able to grow this huge lock family. Been able to show you guys my journey from start, all the way to the current point, now being 2.5 years in. You guys can see that I really got it out the mud. One of the most common misconceptions that I get is that, my locks are perfect, or that it looks like I didn't make any mistakes. It looks like everything that I've done up to this point has been premeditated. And I gotta let you know that is not the case. Still deal with buildup, I still deal with, thin locks, and I deal with the things that all of us deal with. This video, I just wanted to be transparent about those things, okay? Some of the things that I did and made a huge mistake on early on. Now, my first mistake, I gotta be real, I'm gonna keep it 100, okay? My first big mistake was I dyed my hair too early and way too often. Recently, I had a subscriber that had asked me, how I got my hair to be this color. Sort of like that ombre effect, you know what I'm saying? It's a dope color, it's an amazing color, I love it. But the reality of it is, you guys, this was not something that I did on purpose. How it originally started, I was probably, I wanna say, within my 5th to 6th month, and I dyed my entire head. They were so short, I thought to myself, okay, well, if I dye them blonde now, maybe in about a month, 2 months, they'll turn into blonde tips. And of course, you guys know when you get that blonde dye the first time, the instructions may not always be geared towards black hair. So I put it on for the blonde dye with the instructions, the way the instructions told me to do. And of course, my hair turned out like this sandy red. So I was trying to rock that for a little bit. I hated that. Eventually, I dyed it back black. After dyeing it back black or dark brown again, I said, you know what? How about I just, dye the tips? So I ended up removing dye, blonding the tips. It was a perfect little combination there, it was cool. Then over time, I didn't like that and I dyed over that. I mean, talking about a mixture of dyes, color removals. This last time I ended up dyeing, I had dyed it black. I hated it how it looked black. And so I ended up having to strip the color again. It was this nasty orange. I hated that. So I had to color it brown again, which was cool. It finally corrected it. And over time, what you got is this, ombre effect. You got a lot of chemical combinations. And to be honest with you, I couldn't recreate this if I wanted to. That was a huge error on my part, because I remember that transition from non-dyed locks to dyed locks. It was just a completely different thing. You guys been following the channel, you know that I got a bleaching going wrong video. It was terrible. My hair went from feeling thick, healthy, really locked, really strong, to sort of feeling frail, like I could tear the tips off. So yeah, we've come a long way. I'm happy that it turned out not for the worst, okay? But that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2. Now this is one of those things that in the beginning of my lock journey, I didn't really have a lot of information. I didn't see a lot of information about the specifics of when you needed to twist, what was bad, how bad was it. Of course, you had some people saying that twisting too often was really bad. And then you had some people that says twist as often as you need. So there was a lot of information out there. And early on in my journey, I was not doing my due diligence to find that information. So the very beginning of my journey, in my first couple months, I was twisting my hair once every 2 weeks. In the very beginning, it wasn't a problem at all. I needed to do that because I dealt with a lot of dandruff, and I told myself, okay, well, I'm gonna have to wash my hair every 2 weeks no matter what. In order for me to sort of counterbalance that, I'm gonna have to retwist. I'm gonna have to retwist my entire head every 2 weeks after these washes to keep my locks in check. Originally, that worked out perfectly fine, didn't cause any issues. But around that 7th, 8th month, as my locks started to mature, I noticed that the ones, there were some in the front and just a few here or there that were on the thinner side. And it really didn't make sense. Of course, I investigated the causes. It wasn't because of any, balding or any thinness or anything like that in those particular areas. It was just a product of me twisting far too much. And of course, those turned into Congos, and it also turned into a lesson that I really had to learn. In the very beginning, understand that twisting, it can definitely keep your locks looking cylindrical, but it's also an element of stress that you don't absolutely want to have introduced to your locks that frequently. I'm gonna be doing it, I'd say do a soft retwist, or maybe do it, just a light palm roll or something like that. Something that's not so taxing on your hair. Yeah, I definitely learned that lesson the hard way, you guys. When you start out in the very beginning, you definitely want to make sure you minimize those retwists, because you want to give your hair and your scalp time to just breathe, okay? But that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, you guys, beginning of my journey, I was kind of reckless. For a long time, you get a lot of people that said that, beeswax is just the last thing you want to use, And of course, me, I'm hard-headed. I'm hearing it, but I'm not really hearing it, because I'm just like, I've never really had a lot of buildup. I've never really felt like I dealt with a lot of it. And I told myself, well, even if I do, I can just use an ACV rinse and rinse it all out. But when I tell you, I was using beeswax for a while and wasn't really seeing any issues. It was causing, my hair to be nice and sleek and gave me the perfect hold. It really helped with locking a lot. I just felt like it was a great product. But over time, what I discovered, at one point I had gotten in the shower, I'd washed my hair with some hot water. And when I tell you guys, that stuff at the root, it had caked, it had turned white. And mind you, I had just washed my hair. I got like wax on all the roots, like big wax pockets that look white, that have collected and caught all the shampoo, whatever is coming out of my hair has been just now caught at the beds of my locks because of this wax, because this sticky substance that is, sort of cool or sort of melted once the hot water hit it, and then just rehardened within my hair. So I learned that the hard way, you guys. That wax, they tell you about that wax for a reason. Some people got like the perfect mix and combination to use that stuff the right way. If you know how to use it the right way, I guess drop it in the comment section how to use it, because I'm gonna tell you right now, that beeswax was bad news, and I'm still trying to get that stuff out my hair to this day.
To this day! To this day!
For me, that was one of my mistakes, using beeswax. Don't do it. Don't do it unless you got a pro with you, all right? Mistake number 4. You guys who have seen from my most recent videos know that I like to keep my lineup managed myself. Past lineup, I didn't actually get one done. You know what I'm saying? I shaved the hair down, but I didn't actually line it up. I didn't really feel like lining it up, hence the reason why I got this beanie on today. But in the very beginning, when I was getting it lined up, I was going to my barber. Now, when you have the type of hair, when you got your hair sectioned off in a way where you got like a little mini hairline that you've sort of separated, and then your locks start behind that, you're gonna be tempted, especially when you got a high top set, you're going to be tempted to want to go to that barber to get that extra freshie. And if you got a barber that knows what they're doing, which I did, they'll know where not to cut, where to begin, where not to begin. They've been just cutting your faded hair and they haven't necessarily cut your locked hair. Sometimes you have to give them some additional instructions. I had that separated section, and those sections that were very close, the parts that meet the locks and the shaved part, what I found was that without giving that special instruction and just paying extra close attention when they were cutting, I would notice that barber would unintentionally take just a little hair here or there from those locks each time. And what I noticed, that was another one of those reasons why I was getting some thinner locks towards the edges, because every time I would go to that barber shop, I would let him cut it, whether my hair had been retwisted, whether it not been retwisted, and just little by little, I would lose maybe, let's say, even if it was just a hair, I would lose a hair. Over time, I was noticing, oh wow, I've been slowly but surely getting hair removed from the base of my locks, and it's causing them to get thin. So that was one of my huge mistakes, you guys, because again, luckily I noticed it early on in my journey and was able to get those Congos and salvage those locks. But if you have a high top set or have a hairline that you're trying to separate from the rest of your locks, you're definitely gonna wanna make sure you do that on your own. It's just my humble opinion. If you're somebody that's gonna want to rock high top sets, I just really kindly encourage you guys to learn how to do that on your own, because again, you have the best barber in the world. Your barber might know exactly what he's doing, but nobody's gonna care about your hair like you do. and you're gonna pay that extra special close attention. Also, when it comes to this lock journey, even with high tops, I'm not a person that feels like I need to walk around with the freshest of the fresh. If we talking about weddings or some events, certain things, of course, I'll get fresh. You know, super duper fresh as I can possibly get. But when it comes to COVID situations, being around my house, maybe going to see family, things like that, I don't really need the freshest of the freshest of the freshest. All right. Another tip: if you're gonna be rocking or trying to get a barber to maintain your high top lock fade or whatever, definitely want to make sure you do that after you've retwisted. If you allow your hair to get real puffy at the root, it's very difficult to understand what hair belongs to what sections, especially if you go to the barbershop. If it's difficult for your loctician sometimes, after a while, it's gonna be difficult for your barber. I definitely would recommend twisting that hair, making sure all the hair that you need to utilize for those locks is strapped in or held in within whatever method you use. That way the barber can come and very clearly see, okay, this is the hair that's safe to shave. This is the hair that's touching the lock. This is the hair that's not touching the lock. Because I'm telling you, don't end up like me. All on my coastline, I had some thin locks. Not super thin, but there was a few that I needed to correct. So that is mistake number 4. The last mistake that I'll mention here is I had very high expectations. I feel like this needs a little explanation. So when you start your journey, you guys, everybody wants to have, I talk about this a lot, but everybody wants to have really long locks. Everybody wants to have a certain date in mind where all of their dreadlock problems are gone. They don't deal with any frizz, their locks are mature, everything is on swing, they'll put their hair in a ponytail. We all want that magical date or time where just all of our issues are gone. And I know this because not only was this something that I dealt with, this is also a lot of the questions that I get on a daily basis. It takes time. You know, that takes time. For me, I thought that at a year, my hair would be as long as I needed it to be to not really have to think about it anymore. I thought that the frizz was gonna be gone. I thought that pretty much I was just gonna be like good. High buns, high ponytails, all that stuff. I felt like I was gonna be able to have the full use of all the arsenal in locks, even with starting so short. This is what I thought, I don't know how. You know, that comes crushing down on you. And I think when you have those high expectations for your locks, those high, you know, visual expectations for yourself, you get to that space and you realize, wow, it's probably gonna take another 2 to 3 years for me to get to that space where I really want to be, whether it be mature locks, whether it be length, whatever. It can be a little discouraging. And I know a lot of people, I've lost a lot of people in their lock journeys, you know, even within my channel, that have told me, yeah, I had to cut them, yeah, I had to do this, yeah, I had to do this, because of just way too high expectations. When you're coming into this journey, the best mindset to have is one where you're just embracing the changes and you're just really honestly looking at yourself as an artistic piece that's continuing to form, continuing to change every single day. If you can just embrace that those locks are gonna do what they're supposed to do, be frizzy, they're gonna look how they look, and you can just go out and just own that, that'll be when that journey starts to get fun. Don't have too high expectations, because again, too high expectations for your journey is just really gonna set an unrealistic standard, and it is gonna potentially cause you to be discouraged. So I just wanna warn you guys, because I'm gonna tell you, I got to that year mark and I felt good, but just internally it was like, okay, wow, like after a year, like this is really feels like my journey actually just started. Hopefully that can save you guys some discouragement. Hopefully it keeps you encouraged. Hopefully it keeps you committed. But that is mistake number 5. All right, you guys, this was just a little quick video. I hope this helps you guys out. I wanted to be transparent because again, you guys, there's nothing perfect about these locks. They have gone through, I don't want to say they've been to hell and back, but they've definitely gone through their fair share of trials and tribulations. So hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys have any mistakes that you've made, go ahead and share them in the comment section, you guys. I would love to hear them. All right, per usual, this is tplocks signing out. Ooh, that's clean, ain't it? Ooh.